Have you had your morning coffee? Have you had your toast? You may want to have it quickly because for the first time ever on this channel on Mornings LALATE, I'm going to check someone. And that someone is Nancy Pelosi. In this special report for Mornings LALATE, I will go through her entire interview with Wolf Blitzer last night and explain to you why now more than ever Nancy Pelosi needs to be removed from all negotiations on behalf of Democrats because she categorically doesn't know what she's talking about, is lying to the American people, is unhinged, and absolutely is doing no service to anyone. This is a special report for Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everyone. Hope you're good and safe. This is a special report for Mornings LALATE, in which I do something which I rarely do. I understand that mornings broadcasts are important to keep you motivated and keep you inspired and positive to start the new day. But boy, I just watched Nancy Pelosi's interview with Wolf Blitzer last night, and someone has to do this recording. I'm doing it, and I hope you tag every politician and every elected official with this video, because I am going to show you why every single thing that Nancy Pelosi said last night on Wolf Blitzer was a lie, and that she needs to be removed from all negotiations on behalf of Democrats for your second stimulus package. If you've not already, go to the Funnish channel, subscribe. We're approaching 300,000 subscribers in 5 months. There's a reason why, because we don't deal with false narratives like this. We deal with them straight on, and this has to stop, and America needs to stop being lied to by Nancy Pelosi. And also like this video. Let me go right to it. I will be working off of the transcript, the official transcript of the interview. During the interview, she said that she was asked why did she accept the $1.8 trillion offer by Steve Mnuchin, head of Treasury. She says, well, our legislation is there to do three things: to honor our workers, honor our heroes, honor our healthcare workers, our police and firefighters, and our first responders, our teachers, transportation, sanitation, and food workers. Lie. Lie. She took out hazard pay, which was to pay all those people $10,000 if they worked during the pandemic from January to March at $13 an hour from any hour that they worked from January all the way up through the pandemic. She took that out in the recent negotiations so that she could keep more salary raises to federal employees who did not work for COVID-19 issues like Treasury, Justice Department, the national parks, salary raises for people who already make six figures that don't need salary raises. She took out hazard pay for police, healthcare workers. Lie number one. Next, she was asked why didn't she take the deal, and she was asked, members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept the deal, $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna. She says, let me just make this clear. Then she was asked, what do you say to Ro Khanna? She says, what do I say? I don't know why you are always an apologist for the Republican position. Wolf Blitzer is simply asking a question. In fact, this is the second time that Nancy Pelosi has been asked in recent weeks why people are dissenting with her. Her response is no one's dissenting with her. Blue Dog Democrats dissented with her. Problem Solvers told her to do a deal. New Democrat Coalition, Ro Khanna, Andrew Yang. All she ever says is no one's disagreeing with her. Should we make a whole list of the people who are disagreeing with her? She says, but it's no use to give them a false thing because the president wants to put a check on his name and put it in the mail. We should not be doing that. Well, guess what? That idea of the president's check on his name on the check doesn't work. That narrative doesn't work anymore because the check would arrive after the election now. So the president's name on the check doesn't do anything for election purposes, so you shouldn't be worried about it. Then she said, then Wolf Blitzer asked her, Madam Speaker, you know about the problem out there, but there are millions of people who have lost their jobs. They can't pay their rent. The children need food. And she said, that's right. And that's why we're trying to get it done. He says $1.58 trillion. What's wrong with that? So then she says, well, let me get it right. Let me get it right to you. She then was asked specifically about Andrew Yang. Yesterday I spoke to Andrew Yang, who said the same thing. It's not everything you want, but there's a lot there. Well, Blitz's question was, one, Andrew Yang said accept the deal, which I detail on this channel. Two, you can't have everything. She said then this, you know what, honest to God, I can't get over it because Andrew Yang, he's lovely. Ro Khanna, he's lovely. But they are not negotiating this situation. Excuse me? So no one knows what's good for the American people except the person who's negotiating the situation. Lie number 3. Americans know the situation. Americans know the numbers. Nancy Pelosi, specifically for over 6 months, would not tell the American people how much she wanted for state and local. She wanted $951 billion, which is 3 years of free grants to governors in states across the country. She wouldn't tell you that number. Every press conference she has had over recent weeks, she never tells you numbers because she doesn't want to tell you. Is she telling you she wants to give salary raises to federal employees? No. Is she telling you she's taking out hazard pay? No. Is she telling you she's reducing the amount of stimulus checks for dependents from $1,200 to $500? No. Is she telling you she's taking away the second stimulus check that the problem solvers propose? No. Is she telling you she's consistently taking away money for the American people to give money to salary raises for the federal employees? No. She says they have no idea of the particulars. You know why they may not have well, let's go on that idea. That no one knows the ideas of her stimulus offers. Well, as Speaker of the House, it's your duty to tell the American people line item what you're doing in every step of the negotiations. It's your duty to tell the American people what your line items are. And you've consistently not told us or told us false numbers of steep minutions. Then she says they have no idea what the language is here. Really? The bill that was passed 2 weeks ago in the House is a bill that is a public record. Do you think that Americans don't see documents that are public records? We have no idea what the bill is. We just don't know how to read. We don't know how to write. We don't know anything about anything except her. I didn't come over here to have you be apologists for the White House administration. See, this is the problem, is that every time that she's asked to explain her numbers, she won't explain them. Then she said, why not? When was the last time you spoke to the president? I don't speak to the president. I speak to his representative. Again, another problem. The problem here is that CARES Act 1 was negotiated by members of Congress, senators, Democrats, Republicans, House members, senators, House members, Republicans, Democrats. This stimulus package, somehow she dedicated herself as a single voice for an entire Democratic Party. The problem is that no one is agreeing with her except herself. Why not call him? Why not call Mr. President and say, let's work it out. It's not going to be everything you want. It's not going to be everything I want. But there's so many Americans right now who are in desperate need. Let's make a deal. Then she responds, you know what makes me amuse is how you all think that you know more about the suffering of the American people than those who are elected by them to represent them at the table. Nancy Pelosi, lie number 4. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't know what suffering is. Nancy Pelosi would not know what suffering is. This is an example of suffering, Nancy Pelosi. Steve Mnuchin offered you $400 a week for FPUC in the month of July. Millions and millions of my viewers would have had $4,000 in FPUC in their pockets by now because it's been 10 weeks since that offer was made. 10 weeks at $400 a week. They don't have that. They don't have a $1,200 stimulus check. They would have had that. They don't have rent aid that was offered to them. They don't have that. They don't have eviction moratoriums. They didn't have LWA. They didn't have any assistance. So the president had to go around you and do LWA to get them 6 weeks of LWA, $300 a week, because you wouldn't give them a penny. America, no one knows the suffering of American people like you do. Millions and millions of my viewers have suffered because of you, Ms. Pelosi. I have countless viewers who are homeless. I have countless viewers who can't put food on the table, that could go hungry every night. Because what do you want to do? You want to give people stimulus relief in March of next year. We all know your path. Her path is no relief until Joe Biden's in office and until new senators are sworn in January. By that timeline, no relief would ever land in people's hands until March or April of next year. Can you imagine when a pandemic hits in early 2020, you have to wait to spring of the next year to get a penny? You don't know what the suffering of the American people is for those who are elected to represent them at the table. You're not representing them at the table. Giving people relief a year later is not relief at the table. The first stimulus package was supposed to have multiple stimulus checks. You took them out. You took them out. There was supposed to be a stimulus check for April, May, June, July. You took that out. Senator Harris, Senator Sanders, $2,000 check every month for 6 months. You didn't want that. Problem solvers, multiple stimulus checks. You didn't want that. Every single time that there was money for the American people to get them through the lockdown with multiple stimulus checks, you took it out. You said, we'll get to the multiple stimulus checks later when we need to. Later, from Nancy Pelosi's March 2021. Then, FPUC. When did you put FPUC to expire? The first enhanced unemployment benefits. You put it to expire while you're on vacation. While you're on vacation at your $20 million home in Northern California having $12 ice cream, you put it to expire while you're on vacation. Did you think to not put a bill to expire for enhanced unemployment benefits while you're on vacation? Or, even better, did you think to maybe extend it before you go on vacation? No. Did you do anything to extend it in June by maybe, reducing it to $400, which was offered to you? No, you held out for $600. So instead of giving $400 before it expired, you said, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to hold out for $600. Then when you came back in August, you worked for 1 week, and you didn't extend it again when you were offered $400 a week. You were written a letter by the Blue Dog Democrats, by the New Democratic Coalition, extend enhanced unemployment benefits right now. There's a $400 offer. No, we're not going to do a standalone bill. It's not in our strategic best interest. What's your strategic best interest, Ms. Pelosi? To get Joe Biden elected? By all polls, he's now going to be elected. By all polls, senators seats will go to the Democrats. But even under that analysis, you're not giving stimulus relief until March 2021. So guess what? Reality check. You don't need to hold out on a stimulus win for 100% of what you want until March of next year, because by all account in the polls, you're still going to win the Democratic seats. You need to do the stimulus relief now. It's unfortunately they have not shared values with the White House. I feel confident that I know about the situation, and I bring, more importantly, the information about science-based, academic-based, institutional-based. And what she says at this point is that ultimately she's rejecting the stimulus deal offered by the White House because it's not science-based. What's science-based at $400 a week for FPUC that is science-based at $600 a week? Explain to me what that means for science? I don't understand that. What's science-based for a dependent check at the White House offering, dependent child at $1,000 a week that you're at $500 a week? What's the difference? What does science have to do with that? How about science for $1,200 stimulus check for adult dependents that you're at $500? What does science have to do with that? How about multiple stimulus check? What does science have to do with that? You're using fake narratives and not answering the question of why you're not accepting numbers. These numbers for stimulus checks, FPUC, rent, hazard pay have nothing to do with science. They have to do with 500 versus 1,000. 600 versus 400. There's nothing difference of a $200 difference that has to do based in science. Wolf Blitzer then asked this. Here you wrote a letter to the House Democrats, Madam Speaker, and I ask you the questions as you know millions of Americans are suffering right now. Her response to the question was, but you quote two people who know nothing about the agreement. There's no agreement, but what's the suggestions are there? There's some authorities on the subject, but get every equal weight to the chairman of the committee to have written this bill. No, what you did overnight, lie number 5, is you misquoted everyone. Maxine Waters specifically said that she wants the stimulus deal done now so that relief is given for rent aid now so that millions of Americans are not evicted now. Which you did in yesterday's statement was take Maxine Waters' statement and suggest that we should hold off on allowing people to be evicted and then have a bill next year. Guess what? Everyone's homeless between now and March of next year, and no one will get relief under your proposal. Wolf Blitzer goes further. He says, the problem solvers, they all want a deal right now. Here they're complaining about how you wrote a letter to House Democrats and said, let me read line for line. Then she cuts him out. He says, no, I don't care about that. He's not important. Let me all say with due respect. Yes, there are some people who say this or that. Overwhelmingly, my caucus wants what is right for the American people. Or your caucus? Nancy Pelosi has disagreement from Democrats everywhere. She has Democrats who are in the Blue Dogs, in the Problem Solvers, in the New Democrat Coalition, the Purple Power, this channel. She has Democrats in California, Democrats in her district, Democrats across the entire country. Democrats are irate with her inability to accept a deal. Ultimately, what her position is, it give her exactly the deal offer that she wants, or the highway. In July, Nancy Pelosi was negotiating at a deal offer that is exactly the amount that she is today. And so since July, she has not moved $1 on the amount. Let me say this with all due respect. You know, you have known each other for a long time with due respect. Yes, there are some people who say this, but overwhelmingly, my caucus wants what's right for the American people. So do us a service to the issues and have some level of respect for those people who have worked on these issues and written the bill to begin with. No one wrote the bill for it to be a bill that you don't negotiate upon. Let's make this clear, Speaker Pelosi. No one wrote a bill so that you would say, here's my bill, I'm never going to negotiate a penny on it, and this is what it's going to be, or the highway, see you in March of 2021. That is what elected officials are not elected to do. Write a bill and say it's etched in stone and it will never be changed. Let me tell you this. I want to do the math. We had $3.4 billion, which would meet the needs of people. We took it down to $2.2 trillion. No, you were at $2.2 trillion in July. Let's not play games with us either. You were negotiating in the room with Steve Mnuchin for 2 weeks at $2.2 trillion. At that time, Moody's Analytics and Governors Association said that what you're trying to do is give 3 years of grant money to states that don't need 3 years of grant money for things that are unrelated to COVID-19. That all you need potentially is 1 year, $150 billion. The White House offered double that amount, $300 billion. You were at $2.2 trillion. The false narrative of 3.4 to 2.2 is not negotiations. You were at 2.2 in July. Madam Speaker, I have only the greatest respect for you. I just want to point out that $1.8 trillion is a lot of money. The American people need this money right now because they're suffering right now. Let me make this also clear. $1.8 trillion is nearly the same amount as CARES Act 1, which is $2 trillion. $1.8 trillion is nearly double the Obama stimulus. Speaker Pelosi's response, and you don't care how it's spent? You don't care how it's spent? Yes, we do care how it's spent. We don't want you taking nearly $1 trillion of it, giving it to federal raises for rich federal employees who make 6 figures a year. Take that out and put back in hazard pay. Take that out and put back in multiple stimulus checks. Take that out and put in bigger stimulus checks. Take that out and stop putting so much money to state and local and make a deal $300 billion. Why not talk to the president personally? Call him up and say, let's get a deal tomorrow. Her response, look at me and say this. The president has sent Mr. Mnuchin to negotiate. That's what we've done with other presidents. This isn't unusual. It is unusual. Again, line number 6, CARES Act 1. The March stimulus package was not negotiated by one person with one person. It was negotiated by a whole flock of very skilled, diligent people in the Congress. This delegation of one or self-appointment, I don't know if she got the job by just sort of grabbing it, or if she just assumed the position, or if anyone has any balls to say no, but she simply has self-delegated herself to be the single voice of an entire half of the country that doesn't agree with her. This is why she has to be removed from the negotiations. Well, Blitzer, he wants a deal. May I finish, please? But it's his integrity representing his position. His position has no integrity. We don't share our values. What does values have to do with this? $600 a week versus $400 a week. It's a number. Agree on a number. $500 a week. What does that have to do with values? Stimulus check, $1,200 versus $500. What does it have to do with values? Agree upon a number. Agree halfway. $1,200 versus $500. Agree on $750. What is the problem with the values? So this is this. I have every confidence in the arguments that we make because it's based on science and documentation. It's not based upon science and documentation. Where is a Salary raise to the Department of Justice based upon science. The Department of Justice doesn't do anything for COVID-19 related issues that you have to give a salary raise. How about the Department of Parks? Closed during the lockdown. Now reopen. Why are you giving salary raises to the employees of the Department of National Parks? What is that, science related? It's not science related. I certainly respect you, but I also respect Ro Khanna. I respect An Yang. I respect members of the Democratic Party and the problem solvers. They want a deal because so many people are now suffering. This is Wolf Blitzer. Well, the problem solvers, by the way, don't have earned income credits and don't have this and don't have that. Problem solvers have double stimulus checks. You don't have that either. Problem solvers have $400 a week for 8 weeks and then $500 a week for $600 a week, which is more than what Steve Mnuchin offered. You didn't want that either. No, we will not leave me. Madam Speaker, these are incredibly difficult times now, Ryan. We'll leave it on that note, but thank you so much for joining me. No, her response is, no, we will not leave it on that note. You are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you, but I feel confident about it, and I feel confident about my colleagues. I feel confident about my chairs. You shouldn't. America's hating what you're doing with your stimulus negotiations. It's not about me. It's about millions of people who can't put food on the table and can't pay rent, says Wolf Blitzer, and we represent them. Oh, no. You made that error there, Speaker Pelosi. Speaker Pelosi needs to be removed for negotiations for your second stimulus check. She needs to be removed because she doesn't represent Americans. She doesn't represent the people of California, where this recording is made. She does not represent Democrats. She does not represent the people of the American families. She simply represents no one. What she wants is bailouts for state and local for amounts that no one wants to pay. She wants salary raises for federal employees. She doesn't want to give people hazard pay. She doesn't want to give people multiple stimulus checks. She doesn't want to give people a full stimulus check. She wants to give them watered down stimulus checks. She promised them multiple stimulus checks. She took out that. She allowed FPUC to expire. She didn't take care of that. She says she wants to talk about retroactive benefits for a bill that she, on her own accord, will never get passed until March of 2021, and to put money in your hands. She's going to do retroactive benefits to July? I think not. I appreciate you for giving me my time this morning in a recording, which I rarely do. I rarely rant like this, but sometimes people need to be called out on their lies. Go to the Funniest Channel, subscribe. I hope you share this video and post it everywhere and tag the respective people, and also like this video. Coming up is Afternoons LALATE. Thank you also for tuning in for the debut of Early Mornings LALATE, which was a big, big blockbuster hit. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay with LA for more.